with other banks.
So, you know, that is the initial teething problem, which will sort out. I mean, my sense is, I mean, yesterday Mrs. Bhattacharya was speaking with us, and she thinks even November 30th is a very long date. She was expecting it even earlier. She thinks the worst will be over. But my point is more in terms of the economy pain. You know, we are still every quarter asking the banks, have NPAs peaked out? Have you flushed out the worst? Now comes another series of pain probably for MSMEs, SMEs, real estate, cement, allied sectors. So do you think this economy, which we thought will trough out and grow this year, is going to take a year or two to grow?
No, I think the GDP growth rate may come down a bit, but I don't think it's going to impact us for a year or two. For 16-17, we should expect for the next 2 quarters, at least the last quarter in the calendar year and the first quarter next calendar year, to be impacted, where turnover will be down, sales will be down, therefore profits will be down, and the growth will be slow. But it will come back normally. See, today people are just putting money in the bank. They have not, as I mentioned, they have not taken money out yet. Because you're not allowed to take money out to buy also. You know, unless you are paying by, withdrawal limits are there. So let those withdrawal limits be relaxed over a period of time, and then you will see consumption coming back. And so, but it's a step we have taken, the government has taken, knowingly that will impact the economy for 1 or 2 quarters, but next year will be better then.
No, even before the demonetization, we saw some builders almost at bankruptcy level having declared bankruptcy. Do you think more such instances will be heard of builders, companies going bankrupt?
You may hear a few, sure, certainly you will hear a few, but you know where land is a value.
Yes.
And most of them have land. They go bankrupt because they over borrowed and they bought land. Land has definitely some value. It may not have a value today, it may be a value 10 years later or 5 years later. And so they will be able to monetize some amount of their money by selling land at a cheaper price.
There are a couple of things happening in the interest rate market as well. You know, we have seen inflation rates anyway coming down even before demonetization. Now with the demand from money, black money going down, definitely people will recalibrate inflation rates. And then of course with so much deposits, bond yields are also coming down. What is your sense about the cost of money? 1 quarter down the line, 2 quarters down the line, would you say the borrowing rates will be 1 percentage point lower?
I'm sure, I am confident that in the next 6 months at least, till March, the borrowing rates will be about 3/4 or 1% lower. 0.5 to 1% lower in the next 6 months till March. May not be in December, maybe early next year, but there will be 1 or 2 small 0.5% or 1/4% rate cuts. Because another reason is that the government also is keen to start kicking the economy. How do we restart the economy which has been halted by this big move? So we have to bring it back to the level, so they'll be forced to reduce rates, and inflation is coming down. There is no reason why, and the banks are sitting with surplus money.
You are a close watcher of the stock markets as well. It's one part of the financial market. What is the sense you're getting? We've seen some fairly steep falls, but we are coming close to the Trump Day low of 8,002. We didn't quite get there. But do you think we are going to see more falls before confidence comes back? I mean, earnings downgrade, GDP downgrades are just not yet in.
I have not seen India in a stronger position than I see it today in all my 45 years. So I think this is irrational why our stock market is reacting to Trump victory or reacting to demonetization, because the monsoons have been excellent, the oil price is stable, and even the OPEC countries are saying it will remain like this till 2020, under $60. So under $60. So I think we are in a strong position today, and overreaction of Trump victory, that he's going to start doing things tomorrow and which is going to impact IT industry, overreacting on the demonetization, that NBFCs are killed and microfinance have gone 30-40% down. NBFCs, housing finance business will disappear. It's all wrong estimate. It's overreaction. I'm not at all worried about HDFC at all. I'm sure the growth will be reasonable this quarter. It won't be negative. It will definitely be positive. I've not seen a slowdown in number of applications, at least so far. So I don't see, it's a little overreaction to this.
The reaction is because of this big fear that a lot of loans have been given against property. How much of the NBFC or housing finance sector, separately, housing finance and NBFC, are loans against property?
Loans against property, I have always maintained that loans against property is the probably most dangerous item on a balance sheet compared to new loans for a new flat. Okay. Because most of the people who buy new apartments or a secondary apartment are staying in themselves, so there's no problem there. And anyway, so far as we are concerned, our loan to value at origination is only 65%, so we don't have a problem. Loans against property, if the business comes down or if the cash flow disappears, many people have cash income. Yes. If that slows down or if that dries up, then there could be a problem, and I think the NBFCs will now be more cautious in lending against loans against property.
What's the LAP? Is it 30% you think, NBFC? But could be a high figure.
Some NBFCs have even 90% of their portfolio LAPs.
Okay.
And it's 30 to 50%. We have under 5% in our portfolio, and we are very careful about it. So I'm not worried about it, but there have been a couple of analysts who have written papers on LAP, because LAP means in the FII lingo, it means home equity loans. Okay. What impacted the US real estate market was home equity loans. Okay. So they are concerned about
this is our subprime concept. Yeah. Okay. Well, do you think that therefore, if someone is buying a home, it's better to buy it after a year,
It's more need-based. Things are not going to change drastically. Maybe marginally 5-10% come down. But this is the time to go with the check payment to the builder and say, I'm willing to book today, give me a discount. He needs money. He will sell it at a low.
But you should buy off the shelf, under construction.
No, off the shelf or under construction, but decent builders will complete it. You may have to wait 6 more months or a year more, but I think there are enough number of decent builders who have never not given a delivery.
Okay. Well, Mr. Parekh, I know you allowed me to come here only if I spoke about demonetization. But the boardroom battle which we are all witness to is kind of coming to a close. Do you think that independent directors have rendered a brilliant account of themselves, but is it really possible for independent directors to hold their own against a dominant shareholder?
Zata, you promised me you're not going to ask this question, so I'm not going to answer
it. I'm asking you in principle.
No comment.
In principle, no. Okay. Fine, Mr. Parekh. Thank you very much. I tried, but one day I hope I will be able to speak to you about the rights of independent director and the limits of independent directors in India. Any more comments? Okay. Thank you very much for joining. Oh, yes.
All checked.
I'm not denying that. I have bought 2 houses in my lifetime, one in New Bombay and one in Mumbai, and both were white payments. Check. I'm not denying it doesn't happen. But if I try to get into inner city, the first block was, of course, the cost of the house, but it was also the big black portion.
The root of the cause is land prices. And for land aggregators, when people buy land as land aggregators and develop 10 acres, 5 acres, and then sell the land to a builder, they pay cash to everyone. So my view is the land prices will come down. Because first of all, so far as the developers are concerned, most of them are over-leveraged. You know the state of developer industry, yes. They're over-leveraged. I think excessive borrowing capacity is limited. Stocks are there. Unfinished, unsold stocks are there. Incomplete buildings are there. If they sell those at a lower price, if they bring the price down, the sales will increase. So they will be forced to bring prices down to get liquidity to complete the construction. So that way I feel that it's a good move. They will be paying first 3 months, 4 months they'll be paying. In fact, they will be even paying for many of the borrowers to pay the EMI check. And one will have to see how this pans out, because every month whether they have to put money in the bank.
Okay. I see a series of problems. First, let me begin with the people who have completed houses but who are not pushing it. To what extent do you think prices may fall, for instance, in Mumbai? Can they fall by 30, 40%?
See, my view is that secondary sale prices will fall much faster than primary sale. Because primary, you are still getting many flats at full check. I agree, in North it's a little different in certain pockets. But in this part of the world and South India, it is very different. Secondary sale, many times the society doesn't allow you to charge a higher amount, because then the whole rateable value of the property goes up. So when people buy a ready-made flat from someone else on a resale flat, they are forced to pay some in cash, because the society disagrees. Because the whole rateable value goes up, the outflow of tax goes up. And so secondary sales prices will come down faster than the new sales.
Okay. But what about
because the existing buildings that are under construction, the developers have already paid for the land.
No, that's the next point I was coming to. You know, since the real estate economy sub-segment runs a lot on black money, and that portion of money is burnt or, you know, has gone out of the system, do you think there will be incomplete buildings? You know, those of us who have paid EMI, are we going to get buildings after 2 years or something like that?
I'm sure there will be delays. There are already delays. No developer, there are no developer in my history have given a flat on due date. There may be a few exceptions, but there are very few exceptions.
But are we going to see inordinate delays?
There will be delays, maybe not inordinate, but maybe a year or two. You have to build it in your plan.
Okay.
You have to build it in your plan. See, fortunately today, all the ingredients are available in plenty, whether it's steel, cement, labor, sand, all the ingredients. There's no shortage of raw materials. There's shortage of money. And capacity to borrowing is not there, because many builders, banks are not giving more money because of their exposure limits. So they'll have to by force either sell some land they have at a cheaper price and raise liquidity, or sell flats at a lower price and raise liquidity. So their hands are tied now. Earlier they had cash which they could use to carry on, you know. Now there's a cash going out of the system. How much cash will disappear from the system, one doesn't know. How much cash is not submitted back to the RBI, we don't know. But again, some estimates are 3 lakh to 4 lakh crores.
But can it, you know, stall all activity? For instance, because they have been receiving unaccounted cash, they pay cement guys in cash, they pay carpenters, loaders, contractors, scaffolding guys in cash. Will that come to a standstill?
It won't come to standstill, but it's slow. It will impact for the first 3-4 months, for sure. Even consumption will slow down. We are already hearing that restaurant billings have gone down, mall visits have gone down, hotels are down, tickets are not being sold, airline tickets. So there will be some impact, because people are still finding their feet around and how to convert black into white, or how to, you know, how to organize their lives. So I would guess it will impact 1 quarter for sure. But I think, you know, you have to go through this pain. You have to go through this hardship for future. I think it's a game changer. We are one of the countries with the largest amount of unaccounted money, and it's a menace, it's a disease we have. And in one shot, we are able to remove last 5-6 decades of accumulation and conversion of black money.
Fair point. But the real estate sector itself, by when do you think it might start seeing, you know, reasonable improvement in sales? You know, it is going to decline, but decline till the next 6 months, next 1 year?
I would say even a quarter, because you see the demand is insatiable for homes. Availability of the right size of flats are not there. And initially, you know, there have been some big advertisements in newspapers in the last 2 weeks. The feedback I got from developers is there's no inquiry. One developer put many ads in the newspaper and television. He expected 100 sales, 100 flats to be sold in the first inaugural time, you know, and they only sold 15 to 20. So it's going to take time, because, you know, people are still worried about money at home, money given to someone, how do we get legal tender back.
Yeah, that is for now, and that even conspicuous consumption, part of it was probably happening on unaccounted money. So that consumption goes down, as you pointed out, airlines and jewelry. But here it is a whole economy. It is not consumption only. Do you fear, for instance, now, even for HDFC, but more so for smaller finance companies, that people are not able to pay EMIs because a lot of people have lost jobs? I mean, cement, construction, contractors. Do you fear it can go that bad?
I don't fear that. I don't fear people are not losing jobs because of demonetization at all.
No, only in real estate.
No, even in real estate, they are not going to lose jobs because the demand is there. Half-constructed buildings are there. They have to complete. It's a question of money, the cash which is not there. How do they raise cash? If some developers have borrowing capacity, they'll borrow. But if they don't have, they'll have to sell existing land, they'll have to sell some FSI, they'll have to bring a partner in, or they'll have to reduce the price of flats. They have no other option. And therefore, I'm confident that some prices will come down, but more in the secondary sale.
Okay. But what is your sense? 40%, 30%? When should we think that a correction, a reset is over?
See, you can't generalize across the country.
Of course, you can't.
I think high-end flats will probably fall more. Affordable flats may not fall because they're anyway 10-15 lakhs. And so it's a mixture of 10 to 25% or so.
Do you expect knock-on impact on cement, on paints and sectors like that?
Not at all.
You don't think cement will?
One quarter, yes.
Okay.
One
but not beyond.
Certainly, because it will be slowed down, and they have to readjust their books, their accounts, their method of working. They have to do all that because there's a lot of cash in the system. As I said, 70% of the value of transactions in India are done by cash. Absolutely. And this is very good for the debit cards, the credit cards, the PTMs, and all this will see. And we have to move towards a cashless society. And again, another reason for demonetization, let's move towards a cashless society. We are still very much a cash society. So that way, I think I cannot find a single fault.
No, you cannot.
And execution, people are saying execution could have been better, but this has to be remain a secret. Very few people knew about it. They were not a whisper. We all came as a total surprise. So you had to, and ATMs, like we have 12,000 ATMs. 2,000 rupee notes, we have to recalibrate the ATM machines. Every ATM doesn't need 2,000, but the city ones, the big metro ones, we need to recalibrate. And we don't have enough engineers to do that. It takes 200, 250 ATMs a day. So to do it's going to take a week or 2 weeks to get all our ATMs recalibrated. It's the same problem with other banks.
So,
Well, first up, an exclusive interview with India's ace banking voice, Deepak Parekh, starts now. Let's cut across to Lata Venkatesh.
Hello and welcome to this very special edition of The Great Reset. There is no denying that what we are going through in terms of demonetization is one in a century or one in many centuries event. It resets a lot of things. But what are they and how deep is the reset of the Indian economy? I have with me someone who knows this economy in and out. The economy, the financial sector, the banking sector, and the heart of what may be affected, the real estate sector. You didn't guess. My guest is Mr. Deepak Parekh. Mr. Parekh, thank you very much indeed for breaking a fairly long silence and agreeing to speak because this is a momentous event. Well, what do you think of the event itself? Is it a deep reset?
I think it's a game changer. It's transformational. It was very necessary. And it's a very bold move by the government. And it's probably one of the biggest big bang reforms undertaken by any government for a long time. Why is it necessary? There are a number of reasons why it was necessary. First of all, if you look at our currency system, India is a cash-based society. 70% of value of transactions are in cash. And even our GDP, 45% of our GDP comes from informal sector. Informal sector accounts for 80% of our population. So, if you look at our currency in circulation, India probably is one of the highest currency in circulation ratio. It is almost some 16% or so, or 13%, I think it is 13%. And if you look at our about 17.5 lakh crores is currency in circulation. 86% of that is in 500 and 1000 rupee notes. That means about 15 lakh or 15 lakh crores. So this 15 lakh crores will have to be redeposited by the people in the banks to their credit of their account, whatever comes. Up to now, the figures that I hear is about 4 lakh crores. So 4 lakh crores have already been deposited by the bank, by the individuals in their bank accounts. Now, if you see, there are different estimates of black money in India. The World Bank estimate is about 20 to 20% of GDP. Indian government estimate, rough estimate, is about 10 to 15 lakh crores. So it's a different estimates. 10 lakh crores, which is much lower than 20% of the GDP. Now, it is again very difficult to estimate how much of this is in cash. How much of the black money is still in cash, because normally it is invested in land parcels, paying for approvals, gold, foreign currency, remittance abroad, illegal. So it's been a number of areas. So no one knows how much black money is in circulation.
In cash.
Now, 3 or 4 reasons why I think the government, why I felt it was absolutely necessary to have done this, and really the government needs to be given credit for it, although it impacts the common man. There has been a lot of hardships, there has been inconvenience, there have been long queues in the banks. The common man is impacted, but there was a survey done by one newspaper which said 86% or 82% of the people interviewed said it's a very good thing for the economy. So maybe pain in the initial phase, first quarter of about, but then things should be much better. Because we are eradicating black money created for decades by one move. To create black money of that size is going to take years. You cannot create black money overnight. First you have to earn the money. Then if you don't declare it, then you create the black money. But first the earning has to be there.
Yeah, so that is my point. You know, it is believed that the real estate sector, to a large extent, is financed by this accumulated black money. How do you see the real estate sector getting impacted? Do you see land prices, for instance, halving, or house prices?
See, before I answer that, I wanted to say that what is the rationale, the logic, the reason why this was necessary. First of all is counterfeit currency. We are being plagued by counterfeit currency, and the estimate is about 400 odd crores of counterfeit currencies is in circulation, predominantly 500 rupee notes. And so it was necessary to demonetize 500 rupee notes because of counterfeit. And the intelligence sources, the intelligence agency feel that there is a printing press across our borders which are printing these notes for nefarious activities. So it's a safety of the nation, it's security of the nation, even if it means inconvenience and hardship, this had to be done. And we understand from the Reserve Bank that the new notes are different. There's more security ink, security paper. It will be difficult for anyone to copy. So that is one reason, counterfeit. The second reason was black money. This large amount of black money, how the menace of black money, where unaccounted money, unaccounted for tax, money is in circulation, how do we get that out of the system? Because it's not fair for some people to use the cash when not paying tax. So the point here was that we have to widen the tax base. There are only 2.5 crore individuals who are filing income tax return, many with nil. So the tax net has to be widened. Tax to GDP in India is one of the lowest. It's 10.6% or so. It's one of the lowest in the world. 10.6% is equal to African countries. Not even the BRIC countries or other Asian countries have much higher tax to GDP ratio. So the government has to increase the tax net. And that was another reason another reason. And political also, in politics also, during elections and all, election funding is normally in India done with unaccounted money. So there are a number of reasons why the government had to do this. Now, enough warning was given to the people. If you look at the warnings given by the finance minister and the prime minister, first of all, it was an election manifesto that we will bring black money out, we will punish people, we will go after people who have black money. They renegotiated tax treaties. OECD had an understanding with them that anyone Indian origin who have bank accounts in the OECD countries will be informed to the government. Tax havens, agreements were there with the tax havens that information will be passed on to the Indian government from tax havens. Then the black money bill of 2015 which was to bring foreign money back. This didn't help because only 2,500 crores came back. And finally was the income declaration scheme, which just ended in September. Here the government says we've collected 65,000 crores and about 30,000 crores tax has been collected. After all these warnings, out of say 10, 11, 15 lakh, only a small amount has come out. So the government had to do this.
I take your point that, the government gave enough warning before this big strike. But the point is the impact. The informal economy will exchange the cash. But what happens to the unaccounted economy, in particular real estate?
See, real estate, I think for someone like us, our business, I feel, will grow faster because 85% of our borrowers are salaried class. We are restricted by giving loans to them on the agreement value. Now, if the entire agreement value is in white, the loan amount will go up.
Yes.
Our borrowers who are salaried class like you and me, we have to withdraw money from the bank to make it black. So the average size of the loan has to increase if black money goes out of the system. So the business will increase. What happens is to the smaller microfinance companies and the small banks who get cash payments, for them it is going to be a little more difficult.
But sir, microfinance companies still are a smaller part of the economy. Real estate is not. Now, let me begin from the problem. Practically, all the buildings inner city, if you ask for a price, people will give you a 60-40 quote of black and white. In Delhi, I'm given to understand people ask for a 50-50 quote. Now, what happens to these kinds of houses? Do you see prices halving?
No, prices won't halve. More prices will be more white, and the black element should go away or substantially reduce. In certain pockets in the country, I agree there's a large black portion. But somehow in South India and Western India, I can show you 90% of projects in Bombay and around Pune and Nasik and Nagpur, Bangalore, which are all check payments.
Oh, yes.
Which are all check payments.
I'm not denying